us to listen to a song, but before we listen to this song, I want to a formal introduction of our doctor, sister, technical person, Dr. Antoinette. Um, Thank you so much for wanting to do this with us. So, I'm going to read this from my screen. So, Dr. Antoinette Elise Napier, psychologist, author, and educator with a lifelong passion for helping others heal, grow, and walk in purpose. Originally from Jamaica, she holds multiple degrees in business, counseling, and psychology, including a PhD in psychology with a child and family emphasis from Andrews University. With over 2 decades of experience in education and ministry, both in the Caribbean and the US, Dr. Tony combines academic excellence with spiritual insight. She serves in the mental health department of a correctional institution in Ohio for her internship, where she brought hope and healing to some of society's most underserved. She currently serves in a mental health hospital in Ohio, working with more serious mental illness. She is the author of Healing from Broken Relationships. I don't know about y'all, but that whole program that she has going on, it has helped me. It is a transformative workbook born out of her work with the 4Cs while studying for her master's on Andrews campus, offering guidance for emotional restoration and spiritual clarity. Through her leadership in family life ministry and her ongoing healing groups, Dr. Tony empowers others to rise from relational pain, reconnect with purpose, and embrace the future God designed for them. Her life mission is clear: to be a vessel of healing, helping others become the best version of themselves and fulfill their God-given assignment. My dissertation research was entitled Religiosity, Family, Sexual Communication, and Gender as a Prediction of Attitudes Towards Oral Sex Among College and University Students in the United States, she says. So what you're going to hear here is not something she just picked out of books just for show and to come and fill up your head. This is someone who knows what she's talking about, and she has been a tremendous blessing in our ministry. And I don't know if I hope she will talk about the Healing from Broken Relationship program that she has going on, so that you can hop on and get you some healing for yourself. It's always good. So before we start, before she comes on, I want us to listen to this special song. And after the song, you will hear the beautiful voice of our sister, Dr. Tony.
We pray for blessings, we pray for peace, comfort for family, protection while we sleep. We pray for healing, for prosperity, and we pray for your mighty hand to ease our suffering. And all the while you hear it spoken can need. Yet love us way too much to give us lesser things. Cause what if your blessings come through raindrops? What if your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know you're near? What if trials of this life are your mercies in disguise? We pray for wisdom, your voice to hear, and we cry in anger when we cannot feel you near. We doubt your goodness, we doubt your love, as if every promise from your word is not enough. And all the while you hear each desperate plea, and long that we'd have faith to believe. Cause what if your blessings come through raindrops? What if your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know you're near? What if trials of this life are your mercies in disguise? When friends betray us, and when darkness seems to win, we know that pain reminds this heart that this is not our home. Oh, it's not our home. Yes. Cause what if your blessings come through raindrops and your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know you're near? What if my greatest disappointments are the aching of this life? It's the revealing of a greater thirst this world can't satisfy. What if trials of this life, the rain, the storms, the hardest nights, are your mercies in disguise? In disguise. Oh Lord.
Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful. Good evening, everyone. God's wonderful people. It's so nice to see everybody here. Welcome, welcome. I want to say special welcome to my two sisters. I have two sisters here tonight. If you look, they have the same name as I do. So welcome, Maureen and Euphemia. Also, is there anybody here who has some special people that they have invited and they're here and you just want to say welcome to them?
Yes, welcome to my cousin Lacey Ann.
Welcome, Lacey Ann.
Yes, and
Welcome.
also welcome
Sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Napier from Belgium.
All right. And my friend, Sherry Henry from Jamaica. We went to the same church, Exchange SDA Church. Anybody else want to welcome
Yes,
anyone?
sis.
I have a friend on Janet.
Oh, welcome, Janet. All right.
Yes.
Thanks so much for coming. We may need to redesign the program. What is York saying? Okay.
No man, don't miss the context. There's a lot more. Focus on the presenting.
All right. Okay, no problem. Okay, so just before I share my PowerPoint, I want you to know I have a little surprise for you towards the end of my presentation. It's gonna be a part of my presentation, but it's the end of it, and I know you're going to enjoy that. The healing from broken relationships will start, it will be in March. For the 5 Sundays in March, we will, because we have cut it down from 10 days to 5 days. So that will be March, and we will send out the flyer very soon. Okay, now let me share my PowerPoint and start this presentation. Something in my way. Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as you know, our topic is Sex Decoded, Purpose and Myths. It refers to the process in decoding sex, right? Refers to the process of separating biological facts and psychological realities from the cultural stigmas and misinformation that so often surround human sexuality. And I know we can all identify with the misinformation of sex. Understanding God's purpose for sex and debunking common myths is important to foster healthy, consensual, and satisfying relationships. Now, I have not exhausted the topic, but we're going to go through some of those myths and debunk them and, like show the facts and realities of some of them. And I know that you may be familiar with a lot of them. Some people may be all of them, and some people it may be new, right? But let's look at the purpose of sex. Far from being a one-dimensional act, sex serves multiple biological, emotional, and social functions. Bonding and intimacy is one. Sex triggers the release of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which helps build emotional trust and connection between partners. Now, I want you to take very careful note of that, because it means that when we have sex with people we are not married to, we are bonding with people. And so even when the person may end up to be abusive, we would have bonded with somebody that we really don't want to be bonded to. So it's always best to make sure that it is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, or at least the person that you're going to be married to. The person that you're married to, sorry, not going to be married to, but the person you're married to when it comes to sex. Physical health benefits. Regular sexual activity can lower blood pressure, reduce stress, improve heart health, and even boost the immune system. In men, frequent ejaculation is linked to a lower risk of prostate cancer. And I know that this is a little bit controversial, but they did a research on over 32,000 men. They followed them over a period of time. And the research says that they discovered that the men who had more frequent ejaculation, like about 20 to 21 in a month, that they were less prone to prostate cancer. The purpose of sex also is for reproduction. Biologically, sex is the mechanism for human reproduction and the continuation of the species. Pleasure and stress relief. Sexual pleasure is a primary motivator for many, providing a natural high through endorphins that act as a mood elevator and pain reliever. Spiritual connection. For many, sex is viewed as a sacred act or a covenant designed to unite partners in body, soul, and spirit. And that's how we look at it as Christians. Sex is for pleasure bonding, stress relief, oxytocins, endorphins, and reproduction. But many myths persist, like pull-out works. Men always want it, or sex must be perfect or spontaneous, which create pressure. The reality is, sex involves communication, connection, and varies greatly, with focus on mutual satisfaction over performance or gender stereotypes. Still looking at the purpose of sex, emotional and physical health, it releases feel-good hormones, which oxytocin and endorphins, you won't forget it, I've repeated it a number of times, reduces stress, anxiety, and pain, boosts libido, and strengthens bonds. Connection and intimacy fosters deeper emotional connection, trust, and understanding between partners. Pleasure, a source of enjoyment, fun, and excitement. Unfortunately, some people are not really enjoying sex, but they should be. I mean married people, okay? Always know that I'm talking in the context of marriage. Common sex myths that we're debunking tonight. Misinformation can lead to shame, anxiety, and relationship conflict. And here are some of the most persistent myths. Sex must be spontaneous to be good. That means that, like couples should just have sex whenever they want. Like it's spontaneous, just anytime. Sometimes anywhere as well, depending on who the couple is. Fact, planned sex is not wrong or a chore. Many couples find that scheduling intimacy ensures it remains a priority in busy lives. Now, I know that some people would say, oh, it's boring to plan sex. I used to be one of those persons. I thought it was boring to plan sex, but you know what I realized? That because a lot of couples don't plan sex, you can hear the phrase where if you want less sex, just get married. Because a lot of married people are not really having sex. When people get married very young, they're having sex all the time. But as time passes and they get used to each other and they mature, and if they don't plan sex, they end up not having sex or hardly ever having sex. So make sure that marriage is not the place you go to have less sex, or else you're probably not going to want to get married. And make sure you won't be the partner that will withhold sex either, because sometimes it's like that. You can't get pregnant during your period. That's another myth. While less likely, it is still possible to become pregnant during menstruation. Many people can testify to the fact that they got pregnant when they were menstruating. A sperm can survive inside the body for several days. Myth, sex always means penetration. I know we know that that is not true. All right, let me read the fact and then I'm going to say something else. Sexual scripts often focus on intercourse, but sex includes a wide range of intimate activities like oral sex, manual stimulation, and outer course, all of which are valid forms of sexual expression. So I know that some people in my research, my dissertation topic was religiosity, family, sexual communication, and gender as predictors of attitude towards oral sex among college and university students. And what I discovered was that many persons would indulge in oral sex to hold on to their virginity for marriage. But the reality is that sex is not just penetration. Women have a lower sexual desire than men. Fact, desire is highly personal and subjective. Studies show many women identify as highly sexual, and factors like stress and fatigue often play a larger role in desire levels than gender alone. I know many of you women can testify to that. Oral sex doesn't transmit STIs, sexually transmitted diseases. STIs such as herpes, gonorrhea, and syphilis can be transmitted through oral sex. My research uncovered that one as well. There are others too. Sex needs to be perfect, spontaneous. Reality. Good sex often requires communication, effort, planning, and exploration. Perfection creates anxiety. Nobody is perfect when it comes to sex. It is a couple's responsibility to learn about each other, to have a conversation, so that keep having conversation about sex so that you get comfortable with it, and learn each other's body. You have to be willing to do that. If you're not willing to communicate about it, if you're not willing to plan and to put in the effort, one person may enjoy sex and the other one does not. If you're too shy to talk, you're not going to end up enjoying sex. Okay? So make sure that you have a healthy attitude towards sex. Know that it is God's gift to you as a married person, and that you can talk about it freely and you can explore each other, and don't expect perfection. Be okay to make mistakes and laugh about it and learn from it. And men, please encourage your wives when you get married, those who are married now, and when you get married, encourage your wives to be honest with you. Don't let your ego get in the way, and you are going to feel bad if she says, oh no, I didn't enjoy sex. Just ask her, okay, so what didn't you enjoy exactly? Tell me, I want to learn what to do. Because there are many women who are in marriage, but they're afraid to tell you because they're afraid to hurt your ego. But please cultivate the attitude that you're all learning together. There is no perfection here. Men and women have vastly different sexual desires. Okay, the first one was about women. Now it's about men and women have vastly different sexual desires. What's the reality? Desire varies widely within genders, more a relationship individual factor than a gender one. So it's not about the gender that you are, it's about who you are, what your sexual desire is like. It's about you. So make sure you learn about yourself, and make sure to choose a partner that will equal your libido. A high frequency of sex equals a healthy relationship. What's the reality? Frequency isn't the measure. Quality, connection, and satisfaction across many aspects of relationship are key. So that means if you did not show him any respect, and if you just spoke to him any old way, and if you did not treat him nicely today, don't be surprised if he doesn't want to have sex with you tonight. Okay? You have to remember that the relationship, everything that goes on in the relationship contributes to what the sex is going to be like. And if you did not show her any love in the day, like help her out with things, speak to her nicely, be respectful, be tender, be compassionate, she may tell you she has a headache later, or she may be too tired for sex. So be nice to each other. It matters in every area of your relationship for sex to be good. Myth. The pull-out method, withdrawal, is reliable contraception. To be very honest, I actually believe that. I believe that. But reality, pre-ejaculate can contain sperm, making it unreliable. So use condoms or other safe contraception. The reality is that with withdrawal, you have to know your cycle very well. And you have to make sure you stay within those few days, which means that if you're using withdrawal, the time when you have sex will be restricted to that particular time if you don't want to become pregnant. All right. So it's important, but know that you may be fortunate, but remember what we just said about pre-ejaculation. That is what comes out from the penis just before you even start having sex. It's a part of the arousal process. Okay? I'm sorry if I just embarrassed anybody, but this is a platform where we are trying to get you comfortable with sex because it is healthy, it is whole, and it is a gift from God. So that's the reality. Okay. So withdrawal is not really reliable. It is not. And so it is best to be careful, much more careful. Now, I'm going to just reveal a little that the only reason why it worked for me is because I had a revolving uterus. I don't know if anybody knows about that. My uterus would turn sometimes in a different direction than it should be, and that was like a birth control for myself. But I didn't always know that that was happening, right? So except you have something like that going on, it's still no guarantee because you don't know when it turns again, right? So, but some of you may know what I'm talking about. Myth, you can only get STIs if you have symptoms or from the toilets. I know we don't believe that. The reality is that many STIs like HPV are asymptomatic but transmissible. Toilet seats don't transmit them. Men can't get HPV. Reality, HPV is common in all genders and can lead to cancers if untreated. Now, what is HPV? It is human papilloma virus, a very common group of over 200 viruses, often spread through skin-to-skin contact, most frequently sexually, that can cause warts or, with certain high-risk types, lead to various cancers, though most infections clear up on their own as the immune system fights them off. This is one of those STIs that when you are processing to come to the United States, they usually give a vaccine for it. Common myths and realities, but you can actually get your own if you believe in vaccines, of course. I know some people are not for that, but it's definitely something that you can get just by hugging people, skin to skin. Remember, it's not just sexually transmitted. Great sex is all about technique or always ends in orgasm. Huh? Reality. Connection, trust, and mutual understanding matters more. Orgasm isn't always the goal, and foreplay is valuable. Now, I always thought that men ejaculated every time they had sex, but some men educated me that that is not so, that sometimes they too just get satisfaction from foreplay. Okay, so we're just learning some things here. Maybe some of the men can bear us out on this, but we always have these ideas about men that they they just want sex and they're just interested in sex. And I mean, like sometimes depending on where you were raised and, like children in school, I know I used to think that. Whenever we look at a guy and he says hi and he calls us and want to just talk to us or whatever, we just thought that he just wanted sex. It was always in our mind. And so if a man says certain things, immediately we judge him based on that, even though it might not be a part of, it might not be in his mind at all. Okay? So this is one of the things we need to work on as well. Your sexual journey, personal myths. A person's sexual journey involves key emotional, physical, and identity-based milestones, including initial attractions, understanding one's orientation, first sexual experiences, and self-definition. These often unfold through puberty and exploration. It is an ongoing personal process shaped by development and relationships. So, this is where I am bringing in my little surprise for you because it's going to be about you now, but I'm going to do a short interview with somebody that is very precious to me. We're going to look at family, whether or not, and I want you to think about it as I will be interviewing this person, whether or not it's open, it was open in your family, uncomfortable, raw, or silent. Because I want you to think about some of the myths that you have personally developed about sex. Because we created some for ourselves that we may not even be consciously aware of. Some conscious, some subconscious. So community and culture, I want you to look into your community. Was your community open? Did they volunteer information? Did they facilitate education about sex? Scorn, or were they critical? Personal experience, how were you introduced to sex? What's your perception, your interpretation? Comfortable, uncomfortable, open, closed, acceptable, unacceptable, darkness and light. When I say darkness and light, it's like, are you the person who, when you're married, or before when you were married, or whatever relationship you were in that you were having sex, the light would have to be off? Or are you the person that would have sex in the light? Because that would speak to your comfort or your discomfort. Okay, so I want to introduce to you, and I'm going to stop my sharing shortly, my sister Euphemia Napier. She's a retired academic advisor where she worked at Miami-Dade College, and she's now living the life. She's retired and she's healthy. And she does what she wants, but she's still living a worthwhile life. Okay, so I'm going to stop my sharing and invite my sister to come on camera. I think I'm going to highlight. Let me see.
Think you got me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay.
Hold on.
I think
I'm
that's
gonna
okay.
highlight you for everyone.
Okay.
Where is
The light is too much.
hmm?
I'm wondering if the light is too much light.
I don't know. Try it and see.
Mhm.
No, you're okay.
I'm okay.
Fine,
All right,
thank
you can
you.
see me. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Hi,
Well,
Sister
this is my
Napier.
Hello,
sister.
darling.
Hello.
Okay.
Welcome.
She is my eldest sister. Let me tell you a little about her. She doesn't mind you knowing that she's 70 years old. She just turned 70 last September, and she is in good health, enjoying her life. She's the one that
I
travels
am here.
to Jamaica to see our mom and keep us informed about her. She was the one who was with my sister in New York when my sister was in the hospital recently. She spent the time until she was out. She's just an amazing sister. And this evening, I am
Thank
going
you. Thank
to,
you.
she's not afraid to share. And when I asked her if she would allow me to interview her today, She said yes. So I'm just looking for my questions that I have for her.
Yeah,
So
short
that
short
I
notice,
can
right?
do
Short
this. Yes,
notice.
short notice, but she's not an introvert, so not
Okay.
like me. All right. So okay. So all right. Euphemia. Sometimes you'll hear me say Pauline because that's our pet name, our pet name for her, okay?
Pauline, it's
So,
fine.
all right. So looking at we're talking about family. Looking at your sexual journey as a child growing up in our family, how would you describe the family's sexual attitude?
Silent. No noise, no conversation, total silence.
So you're
To answer
saying
your first question.
mama and daddy did not talk to you about sex?
No. I was told that I think when I start having my period, I was told do not walk near a man.
Okay. And how did you interpret that?
I should cross the street every time I see one.
And did you actually do?
Yes, I literally did it. And it became a bit, what you call it, exhausting because how often am I supposed to walk past across the street? So yeah, so that was one part of what the silence, where the silence, because there was no explanation.
Okay. All right. Thank you for
That was
sharing that.
short.
Thank
She said
you for
something was
sharing.
short. Car
Yeah,
could
no
eat you.
problem. Okay.
Yes, car could eat you
What
for
was
real.
so that was the family. So you're saying the family was silent. Yes,
Very
and I think
silent.
I can
Yes.
testify to that because
Right.
I
There was no
read
conversation.
I read love books in secret. Daddy
Yeah.
didn't want to see any book with a man and a woman on it because he
Right.
would take
I
it
did that
away.
too. Yeah,
All right,
that was my escape. Okay.
good. What was the community's sexual culture or attitude? Were they open? Did the community facilitate sexual education? Were they scornful, critical? Share what it was like learning about sex in that community.
Well, for one thing, critical.
Mm-hmm.
Critical. If you get pregnant, you're not married, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that could happen with her. She don't look like somebody that could be having sex. And it didn't make sense. So it was, if you did get pregnant in that community, it would be one of criticism. It would not, there was no one that share information, ask any questions or stuff. You were just basically like ostracized, so there was no, I mean, for me, the whole experience of sex was just total ignorance, total ignorance of what.
So tell us about, now you know I'm not asking you for details.
Yeah,
Just
right.
experience. Just experience. Tell us about was there anybody in the community that
Okay,
was open about sex?
right.
Yeah.
When my first job in Stony Hill was as a cashier at
Mm,
Robinson's Pharmacy.
right.
And what happened was we would have this older lady that would come in, and she would talk to us as young people. We call her I think we call her Miss Blanche. And she was one of those very outgoing, kind of risque type of person. And she came in one day and she said to us, no, no, no. I'm gonna get a husband if you don't know how to have sex with them. And my mouth fell open. I'm like, what do you mean? And she went on to tell us how important foreplay was, what you should or should not do with your husband. You have to let your husband know what you like, what you don't like. You get to know what your husband likes and don't like. And so she gave me a whole story. I wouldn't say it's a story. Now I realize it wasn't a story. It was more like sharing information, educating us, the young women that was in the pharmacy, about sex. I still was lost, you know, and she would tell you exactly how to put your body, different different things.
You-
And to me, it was totally X-rated.
She
That
was
was
ahead of her time.
yes, she was very much ahead of her time. But later on in years, as I got older, I realized that that education helped me a lot. It really did. Mhm. Definitely
Okay.
not to have sex before marriage, but if you do, you best believe that you need to be a part of it, not separate from it, but be a part of it.
Okay. Now, your first experience with sex, what ended up happening? Tell us about that.
Pregnant.
You
I
were
got
pregnant.
pregnant.
And why do you
I
think
have,
that happened?
huh?
Can you tell us
Okay,
specifically
so
about
well, my sister, I'm going to kill you. Um, there was a party that I wanted to go to. Remember now, mom and dad didn't allow us to go anywhere at all. Okay. And there was a party I wanted to go to. And I'm like, you never let me go anywhere. These are family, friends, and what have you. We should go to to the party. I should be able to go to the party. And my mom said to me, I don't feel good about this. But I think I was 19 at the time and I was still not allowed to go to the party. So of course I went to the party and wrong place, wrong time, so to speak. And 3 months later, I was pregnant, and it was horrible. I got talked about. I got ostracized. I hid for months. I wouldn't let anybody see me. People walk up to me and say, "Oh, you should get an abortion." People tell me that, "Oh, you got married out of wedlock. It's a shame on your family." And I mean, it was a total 9 months of horror. Mama was in the United States at the time, so it's not like I had anybody to hold my hand, but I had one friend that was always there and walked me through it. I didn't even know when the time come to have the baby that I was having the baby. But the fact that I had no knowledge, because first of all, when the doctor told me that I was pregnant, I told him, I said, he didn't know what he was talking about. I said, no. I said, that's not possible. But let me say this. Despite that journey, I now have a 50-year-old son.
Yeah,
Your nephew, he
my
is
favorite nephew.
amazing. So I was great. I'm thankful to God that I didn't listen to the naysayers. I didn't listen to the people who encouraged me to do that because I don't have other. That's the only son I have.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, the misinformation is what I was angry about
Yeah, yeah.
because there was things that I could have done to avoid it. But then again, I turn it around and make it a positive and say maybe I shouldn't, avoiding it may has not been the plan of God. I don't know. I just know that I have a wonderful son. I know that now what I do is I make sure that my daughter even, she was even the one that said to me, Mom, you never talk to me about sex. Now I
Mm.
have two children, a daughter, a son and a daughter. And she said to me, Mom, you never talked to me about sex. I couldn't tell her what I didn't know, even though by that time I was an older, I was like in my early 20s. I was still in my early 20s when I had my daughter. And I had my son at 21 and my daughter, I think, at 24 or 25. So I still didn't know enough until I I think I think I made a note here saying get to know who I am. You know, in order to get to know myself as a woman, I became educated. I self-educate myself when it came to sex. I
Mhm.
self-educated myself.
So, okay, this is a nice segue into the marriage because when you had your daughter, you were
I,
married.
right. And I still,
Um, what was the sex like?
ah, it was a chore.
Mm,
In my marriage, sex became a chore. It was something to do to satisfy your husband. That's the end of it.
yeah.
There was no, he was not a person that was, what would you call it? I mean, a matter of fact, I don't even know how come I got married to him, but at the end of the day, he wasn't one of those persons that you could really go and talk to about this is what how this made me feel. He was not affectionate at all. So what I had to learn to do is learn to fall in love with myself. I fell in love with myself, fell in love with my body, fell in love with getting to know my body, who I am, what was up here. No, he was an American man. Okay, so I I had to learn that foreplay was something that I didn't have to wait on my husband for me to have the pleasure of having sex with him. Let me put it like that. I prepared myself. I prepared my, because I was told it was my duty as a wife. So because it was a duty as a wife, it was a chore. Something to, let me just do it and get over with and move on to something
So
else.
you were married for how long?
For 23 years.
During these 23 years, can you remember any time at all that you actually enjoyed sex or had an orgasm?
Nope. No. And that's the honest God's truth. No. I never knew what an orgasm was. I never really enjoyed sex. Like I said, it was a chore, something for me to do, get over with and move on. And after 23 years, I was like, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is good. Marriage can be good. I just have not been fortunate so far. Because my mom and dad marriage was amazing. They
Yeah.
had their hiccups and what have you, but one of the things my mother always say to me, if a man is not nice to you, do not be bothered.
Yeah.
You know,
Daddy
so
was nice to mama, so
very nice to all of us.
perfect.
And
Yeah.
that's what I've always want. And see, that's part of it is that having a man in your life, sex is not everything, but having that man love you, respect you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, is one of the most, to me now, is one of the most important thing. If I don't respect you, if you don't respect me, if I don't trust you and you don't trust me, it's not going to work.
Right.
It's absolutely not going to work. But remember, we all come into relationships with our own baggage, so to speak, you know. So it's a thing where people, you will see people, you will see couples, but you have no idea what's going on behind the door,
That's
you
true.
know.
That's
So basically, I had to learn how to love me, respect me, trust me, and in doing so, look for that in the next person. If the man that's come into my life now, he has to respect me, and I have to learn to learn to respect him. He has to earn my respect. Let me put it like that. We
mm-hmm.
have to earn each other respect. So that's part of
Yeah.
me, my being married. There was no respect. My husband cheated. I didn't know how to deal with it. You know, I had children to raise. And so, excuse me, I did what I was supposed to do. I thought I was supposed to do. I have no regrets though. Let me put it like that. It was one journey, 23 years journey, but it was, and it's a lot of lessons along the way. But I am a better woman for the things that I now know. Because now I know I don't have to wait on a man to make me feel good
There
in
you
or
go.
out of the bed. So
Okay. Okay. All right. So tell me some of the myths. Do you think that there were myths that you created about sex, like what you believed or like what you thought about sex coming up that based on your experience? Like
mm,
for example, um, for me, growing up, I just thought that sex was nasty. I thought that men were nasty and sex was nasty. And it is every time I thought about a
I
relationship,
yeah.
whenever I thought about a relationship, I would think that the sex part, the moment I think about sex, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with a man because that was the uncomfortable part that I didn't know about. And I didn't want to have anything to do with because it was just like, to me, nasty.
No, I
That
think
was the
I
myth
think
I
what is,
developed.
because I didn't know, right? And there's a thing about not knowing, not knowing. I don't think I thought sex mean that the man loved you, that he was gonna love you.
Oh,
That was how I interpret sex.
okay.
That if you know if you have sex with a man, he's gonna love you, because, and I learned that because of the fact that after when I got pregnant, 3 months later, the father of my child walked away. So I just thought, I mean, when it happened, it was like, oh, okay, shouldn't have happened, but it did. And not knowing, not being responsible enough at that age, not having the information at that age, how to love myself, that kind of thing. I did not really, what do you call it, have the tools.
Right.
I didn't have the tools. I thought having sex was about love. And that's the biggest myth of all. It's not about love.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a myth. That's
I'm sorry, I'm
definitely a
not able
myth.
to answer
Right.
all the
And
questions I see
so, okay,
coming up.
let me just, I
There
know
was,
people will want to have your question. It asks questions. Is it okay if I allow them to ask you questions,
yeah,
Pat?
I don't mind. No, I don't mind
Is
at all.
there anybody at this
Wait,
point
wait,
that
there was one question that asked what I would have done differently before getting married, I think. I want to know where the man lives. Always know where a man dwell. Okay. What is it what responsibility does he have? Is he married? Is he single? Who is his mother? What is his family like? Because during my 23 years of marriage, I was abused by family members, not sexually abused, but sometimes verbally, depending on the fact that I'm a Jamaican, I marry an American. And there was so many, the culture was so different. And so one of the things, if I had to do it all over again, I would go back and marry me a Jamaican man. I'm sorry.
okay.
Because no, I shouldn't be
You
sorry.
go,
That's what
girl.
she would do
You go,
different.
girl.
Okay.
Sure,
Yeah,
girl.
yes, I would stay with my culture. Because if me want chat patois, I would not be corrected. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one thing I know about that I've learned about my Jamaican men, they love when you read. At least the ones that I know, they love when you. My ex-husband would knock the book out of my hands when I'm reading, okay, because it he felt like it was me trying saying I'm better than him or something to that. But remember, now I understand the insecurities. We have to look at our insecurities, see what we are attracting to ourselves when you go into a relationship with someone. What are you attracting? What are your insecurities? Are you whole? WHOLE. You understand? Are you whole? Because if you're not into who you are and you don't know, you won't see, you will only see. They can see, you can see the insecurities, but you don't recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
don't recognize.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your vulnerability, for your transparency, for your willingness to be here.
Hey,
I'm
I'm
going to
70
have them
years old. What
ask
the heck?
you. I'm going to have them ask you some questions now for those
Okay,
who have questions.
no
But
worries.
one thing I know people might be curious about. So she said that the guy walked away after, he's very much a part of his son's life now, but
Right.
what
At
happened
the
was
time.
that my parents sent her to the United States. So she came up here to live very, very early, still as a young woman. So when she talked about marrying and having her daughter, all of that happened in the United States. My mother sent her away so that she wouldn't have anything at all to do with that guy anymore.
Yeah.
I know there was some curiosity about that. Now you have.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
who
sorry.
wants to ask questions? Anybody has a question that they want to ask? Yes,
Tanique.
Mr. Tani, go ahead.
Well, it's more to comment on what you mentioned earlier about having to walk on the other side of the road when you see a
Yes.
guy. You said you were told. And when I heard that, it brought me back to my childhood days when I was growing up in Harborview in Kingston. And one of my favorite radio stations to listen to was Music 99 FM. And
Mm.
they have great hits, great 80s, 70s, 90s love songs.
Yes.
And I was more interested in music and the different melodies of music. So I would always be tuning into that radio station. But one day my mom came inside the house and she said, "Why you always listening to that station? Oh, a man you have? A boyfriend you have?" And I was saying to her, "No, me just," and I'm telling you, she was adamant. She said, "Hello, turn you off." She said, "Do not listen to that station as long as you live under this roof." Because in her head, I must be having a boyfriend why I'm
Yes.
interested in love songs.
Yes.
And no matter how I would say to no, she would not believe me. And going forward as a teenager, I could not listen to those songs in her presence. So now I look back and I listen to what you are saying. I must say that this is a healthy conversation, and I like the conversation and I like the questions, because we today in our generation, we're also living in our children's time. Even though we were brought up in a different time, we're living in their generation as well.
Yeah.
And we too have to know that we cannot carry on certain myths, but we have to let them know really, so that they can grow to be adults who also make wiser choices and have a better
Yes.
understanding. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we were the books, right, Antoinette? For us, it
Yeah.
was, we read, I think it was called Mills and Boons at the time.
Mills and Bones,
That's how I got some information, was
the
through Mills and Boone.
the
The
romance
romance, yeah.
magazines, yes,
Yeah.
True
But
Confession,
it's an illusion. It was
True
a delusion.
Confession,
Those,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I gave wrong impression. Yes, Sister Opal.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Good
So
night.
I wanted to ask Sister Napier.
Which one of them?
I can't pronounce her first name. Euphemia? Is that
Euphemia,
correct?
Euphemia.
Euphemia. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
If you were able to have a conversation with your then husband about like sex, like were you able to say, you know what, I'm not enjoying this. I wish you did it this way or that way. Or I would love to be touched here, but not there. Were you able to have that candid conversation?
Not really. When we did talk about it after the divorce, I think, and something, I don't remember exactly the conversation. He said to me, well, you should have told me what you liked. But the thing about it is that he wasn't an affectionate person. And so, and I am one of those persons. I come from a family where we hug each other, that kind of stuff. But in with him, I couldn't, if I go to give him a hug, he would kind of like pull back. See, let me just drop this little bit in here. I came from a family that helped everybody. There was always somebody in our home in Jamaica. We were helping. I brought that into my marriage and he resented me for that. So what happened is that the affection, if there was going to be any kind of affectionate behavior towards me, it was taken away because I took away his privacy. He never said to me, you know what, that's your culture. I don't like you bringing people in my home, So yes, he was not whole at all, and yes, and he was like that before marriage, but all the flags were there. And to be honest with you guys, let me be honest, really. When I met this man, he was the one that did the chasing. And he found out that at the time I was working, I didn't have a green card, and he offered to marry me so that I could get my green card, which I thought that was amazing. I waited until the day before the license expired to get married because we were taught that marriage was supposed to be sacred and all this kind of stuff. But I needed the help. I took the help. And the day that he looked at me, he said, "You're a beautiful Black woman, but I will not take care of you." I did not come to America for any man to take care of me. So we kind of went into a relationship that wasn't on the best foundation. And when I started going back to school, he became intimidated by that. And when I was 6 months, my daughter was 6 months old when he came and he asked me for a divorce. And what I thought about was that when this man met me, I had a job. I was working full time. I was making good money. And he told me not to stop working because back then the having a social security, if you have a social security number, it was not that hard to get a job. So I was able to get a social security number that is good until to this day, and went to work because that's what I came to America to do. I came to work. I came to make a life for myself. I did not come to depend on anyone, but based on what they think they know about Jamaicans, I was put into that bracket where I'm not going to take care of you. But of course, when he realized that he did not need to take care of me based on my accomplishments, my achievements, which is, I know they're God. They're straight from heaven somewhere, God. You understand? It became even worse because now I was able to go out and buy my own car without his help. So different things that happened, that interjected in that relationship. The red flags were there, to be honest with you, but because I think of what I wanted at the time and the fact that he offered, I went for it. But I took care of him. I took care of him. I took care of his daughter. We had a whole family. Let me put it like that. But after 23 years, I remember somebody said to me, "You laugh, but your laughter doesn't go to your eyes. Your eyes doesn't smile. There's no smile in your eyes." And I didn't understand that. The person said to me, "You're not happy. You're not a happy woman." My sister was with me at the time. Maureen was with me at the time in the park. And the gentleman basically told her, um, your sister smiled, but it doesn't reach her eyes. And later on, I remember saying to God, "God, if this is the way you want me to live my life, show me how to live it." It was a loveless marriage. I said, "But if it's not, show me how to get out of it." And that's why when people talk about, it was a different type of abuse that I was experiencing. It was a spiritual abuse because if I'm praying, he tell me you need to be praying to me. If it was a what's it called, emotional and mental abuse that I experienced. And I did experience some sexual abuse, to be honest with you. I'm an older woman. I can talk about that. But if I had to do my life all over again, yes, first I would marry a Jamaican man. That's number one. Two, I would ask God to make sure that the man that he's sending me to give me that green card is a spiritual man, a man of God. And so there's a lot of things that I could beat myself up about, but I won't, because my journey, my experience is what make me to be the brilliant woman that yes, I said brilliant. The awesome woman that I am
Wow.
today, where I can now look at a man and realize that, my God, I love men. They're beautiful. They're amazing. They're intelligent. They're funny. They're sexy. All of these things that we were told to shun. Don't say that. Don't do that. You can't express yourself like that. So, when I look at it now, I'm like, hey, God, my journey was awesome. I learned a lot. And my kids are amazing in all of this. My kids were amazing. Okay.
Wow,
Stop
Sister
talking.
Oprah, your question opened up a Pandora's box. Anyway,
The
York,
gentleman,
Brother
New York.
York, go ahead. Brother York, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I got so caught up in the whole conversation after I have totally forgotten my question. But let me just say that let me echo some stuff in the chat. We are very grateful for your transparency. We're very grateful that you're here to talk up the things, literally, the theme. And thank you, Sister Tony, for bringing a willing sister into the space. Um, I oh yes, I think I was gonna ask you, but you kind of did some clarification on that. You know what? Let me put on my video a little bit. So yeah, how does this look? Yeah. A little clarification, but you said you made mention of how it started. You wanted to help you with a green card, and you took the offer, etc., etc., etc. Do you think the shiny object of the green card made you not take the red flags more seriously? Like him not being a God-fearing, in love with God man, because
Yeah, I
many
could
men say
say
they're
that.
God-fearing, but they're not in love with God. So
Right.
do you think that the shiny object took away your focus?
Yes, it definitely did. I'll be honest enough to say it definitely took it away, because if I had to do it all over again, I'd find another way. I would not marry someone who, just because of that. Even though we stayed together for 23 years, we bought a home together, we raised a family, and he and his children are amazing now. The thing is, if I had to do that experience, hmm,
Were you in a relationship with him before you also
Yes,
got your
yes,
card?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely was. It wasn't just for that. We were dating each other. We were seeing each other. But I think that was basically like I said, it was the day before the license expire that I went and got married. I didn't want to do it.
Right.
The
It was a
Okay.
spirit
small,
was
it
telling
was a
me,
small wedding.
huh?
It was a small wedding.
No, we went to the what they call it?
The
The
court.
court?
He said
Okay,
if it
so
was
The
a
it was a
small
micro wedding.
wedding. Oh,
No,
so
there
it
was no
wasn't a
wedding.
wedding.
No, there
There
was
wasn't
no
a wedding.
wedding. It was just only two witnesses. I think Maureen was Maureen one of the witness, I think. I don't remember. But yeah,
I wasn't there.
but no, we didn't have a wedding. Not really. Mm-mm.
Okay. Sister
Thank
Princess?
you. Thank
Oh,
you.
You're welcome.
Sister Princess,
Okay,
go
mine
ahead.
is more of a comment, and then maybe she could respond.
Mhm.
Okay.
Um, I don't believe in telling a man that he is okay. By that I mean, like some men would say, they talk to you, and then afterward they say, I don't think I'm in your league. I am not convincing anybody that they're in my league, because I think after a while, if you get married to them, after a while, they're gonna go out and find somebody with whom they think they're comparable. And then the next thing they tell you is that she makes me feel better. She makes me feel whole. So I don't believe in talking men into different things, including that. What do you think?
I am not sure that I understand the
I know, me
question.
neither. Where you coming off?
Oh,
Like, was there something she
no,
said
you,
that what happened?
yeah,
Explain
when he
it.
was boxing out the book out of her hand,
Mm-hmm.
there are well, I've had it where a man said to me, I don't think I'm in your league. Like he thinks I am above him. And when he said it, I didn't say anything, because I'm not going to convince anybody that they are in my league. Because my belief is that there'll always be hassle with how he sees me and how I see him.
But this is where I must tell you something. I was totally naive. I didn't understand why he knocked the book out of my hand to begin with, because we were driving in the car. When he met me, I used to get the bus, and he was a bus driver at the time. And my way of passing the time was always reading. My sister would tell you that's what we grew up doing. We didn't know any to do anything else in our spare time except to read. So even when I came to America and I would get on the bus, I always have a book. I could read 2, 3 books within a week, just riding back and forth to work. So when I got with him, and we were in the car together, he I was reading, and he just knocked the book out of my hand. And I was like, why did you do that? And I never got an answer. By the way, my ex-husband don't talk. My sisters have met him. He's not a person that have a conversation. So you never know what you did wrong, or I only found out later about a lot of things that I should have known. Had I known, what would have been different? If I had, like I say, if I had to do it all over again, there are so many questions I would have. But at the time, I didn't have the information. I didn't have the knowledge. I was very naive. And so when that did happen, I didn't realize that. And as a matter of fact, what I found out later on was when, after I got my degrees and stuff, he said to me, I said to him, do you think that, because by this time, being married to somebody for 23 years, you're not really thinking divorce. Not really, because we were grew up to go through the pain, go through whatever you go through. In other words, grow through what you go through. And so when when I said to him, did you think that I was going to leave the marriage after I get my education? And he said, yes.
He did.
That was why, yeah, he said yes. But I'll be honest with you, totally naive. I was raised naive, ignorant to so many things, and so many things I learned on my own caused a lot of pain. Yes, he was very insecure. His family was insecure. I mean, I came up against, when people tell you, when you're here, Jamaican women or men telling you the things that they go through in the United States to get to where they are now, believe them, because the parents were no help. Some of the sisters and brothers were, I had to literally act like an hooligan at one point, which is something that I don't know, how does an hooligan supposed to behave to defend myself in this family? I had to act like I was a crazy Jamaican and start talking up my patois and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like get myself out of situation. So when somebody tell you their story, their journey here in the United States, believe them.
I
Believe
believe you,
them.
sis, because a friend of mine told me that when she was going to do her degree, she came up with a diploma and she was going to do the degree, and this US black, this American black nurse said to her, "Why would you go and do that? What is that good for? Aren't you already working?" And
Yeah.
then when she did the masters, some of them tried to sabotage what she tried
Yes.
to tell them.
Yes.
And she said at one point she only got the passing grade because either the lecturer or the tutor realized what was happening. Because they met together and they said one and one make two, for example. She says, no, it's no longer two, it's 2.5. And they said, okay. And when she left, they changed it. And then when the presentation day came, it was a mess. And the lecturer must have seen the anger that she had, like, this is not what we discussed. They are saboteurs.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you come up against a lot of jealousy, envy, and some of the people that I dealt with was my own Jamaicans, and some of them were Americans. But I think one of the things, even though my mother raised us quietly, so to speak, where we didn't know so much, one of the things that we saw was how she fought. She never backed down from a challenge. And I think because of that, I was able to survive.
Praise God. You look
Yes.
nice. You sound great.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank
Oh,
Thank you,
you.
thank
Sister
you.
Princess, for your question and your comments. Sister Althea.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. I appreciate your candor.
Thank you.
And I'm about to ask a question that might get me in trouble, so I'm definitely staying off camera. Okay?
I don't think you will, but go for it.
Okay. Now, as I understand it, the Napiers grew up in a Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't Adventist, you were Sunday keepers,
Mm-hmm.
but you were a Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
As such, in addition to the culture of Jamaica, do you feel that it puts you at a disadvantage as women growing up because you are made to feel, one, that sex is dirty, nasty, disgusting? Only desperate women allow themselves to be defiled in that way. And I don't know, here's where I'm not quite sure, and I'm going to ask your opinion. I don't know if it's the cultural side or if it's the religious side. Or do you think it's a combination of both of those things that gets you to a point where all you're told is, don't go near a boy. If you go near a boy, I'll know. That dun 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 kind of feeling
Mm-hmm.
that's put on you. Do you feel that it's your religious, your cultural, or a combination of the two experiences that made you a little ignorant about sex and sexual activities?
I would say all of the above. But
Right.
let me also expound. I was never a religious person. My sister will tell you. As soon as I hated church, I hated being in church because our church was it was like the Anglican church, and I'm being totally honest. You asked a question, so I'm going to be honest. Don't beat me up. I didn't know or understand what having a relationship with God was about. The
Right.
thing, and we were talking about that this evening. When I go to church, we usually Sunday school. I only know about Joseph of many colors, Daniel and the lion den, all the stories that you know. That was what I was taught. I didn't know anything about the Holy Spirit. I didn't have an understanding of who God is or was at the time. And so it was there was something that you said that triggered something. I became rebellious, not rebellious in a racy kind of way. I would go to church with my family like I'm supposed to, but as soon as church was over, I'd be the first one out the door. I thought that church was full of hypocrites because I would walk out the door and I would hear them talking about the lady that wore the same dress last week. I was very observant, very sensitive as a young woman growing up, young girl growing up. And so I was very much disappointed, I would say, in that when I learned later on that even as a and my sisters became Sabbath keeper after I leave Jamaica, so I never really got exposed to Sabbath keeper because we know what people that think people would say. So when I came here to America and got into the church, and I'm answering your question properly, is I became I'm like, okay, so this is who God is. He's the one that created me. I can the Bible. Then I'm start reading my Bible, and it says, seek and ye shall find, knock and the door will be open. So even though I had a Christian base background, my spirit was rebellious, not against God, but against the the behavior of who I thought Christians are supposed to be. My mom didn't allow us to gossip, which we were children. We were having service every night after school or what have you. We would get together on the veranda and we have our own service, and the neighbors' children would come in and we would be all there. But there was a rebellious spirit within me when it came to the culture, because one of the things that I experienced, I think that influenced me the most, was the fact that my parents cared too much about what other people taught. That's one of the things I learned. Until to this day, I do not care. And when I say I don't care, I mean in a loving way, what anyone think of me. Because I saw how my parents lived their lives based on that. What the neighbor is going to think. And this is one of the reasons I think I stayed so long in my marriage, because even though I was suffering, the thing was, oh my God, what is they going to say if I get a divorce? What is going to happen? God is going to punish me. You're supposed to stay in a divorce. You're in a marriage. You're supposed to put up with your husband, whether he's abusing you or something like that. So yeah, the the culture, the whole thing was part, I think, had a lot to do with me not because if I what I know now, had I know it back then, I think things maybe have been different. I don't know. I hope I answered your question. If not, ask me one that makes it a little clearer.
Okay, no problem. You did. My follow-up is now bringing the culture and the rules of possibly faith together into the marriage. When you're into the marriage and you're recognizing that you're not exactly happy, you're not exactly 100% satisfied with your sexual expression, with your husband and so forth, what do you think stopped you from verbalizing that? Was it still
Well,
culture?
I did ask him. I asked him to go to counseling when I recognized when I started, like I said, becoming educated. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No problem.
I thought him. I asked my husband, I said, look, we've been together. Mm, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That part get me every time.
You don't
It's
have
okay.
to.
Take a breath.
I asked him to let us go to counsel because I really didn't believe. I saw my parents stay married for until my dad was what? My dad died when he was 76 years old, and 77, and they stayed together the whole time. No matter what happened, it was worked out. It was worked out. Okay. And my mother was very forgiving, and I saw how she was as a woman. There was not another man that could come near her. And, she was faithful. And so I thought I could be that too. But then when I asked him to let us go to counseling, he told me, you can pack your, you know what, and get out because I'm not going to counseling. I'm done.
Mm,
I was done. When somebody tell you their truth, believe them. And he did not go. And even when I went, and the psychologist, the marriage counselor called him and said, "Well, Mr. Jackson, why is it that you think why is it you think your wife is so?" Because I was stressed out. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was taking care of everybody else except me. And he said to them, "Oh, she don't know how to take care of herself. She's always taking care of somebody else," which is true. But you're my husband, and you couldn't tell me that you saw that, even if you see I didn't see it. And this is why I'm saying, if I go back, when I see my dad would look at us and he tell us, he said, "Oh, where you going wearing that?" My dad was one of those persons that the kind of man that he likes for you to look good. He wants you to feel good. You're not supposed to be hungry. I think we had the most underwear in the neighborhood because of what our dad was. And that was what I was used to. So this is why I'm like, I'm going to stay in this marriage. We're going to make it work but when he told me it's truth, that was it. And God answered my prayers because I did ask God how to stay. And when he told me that, and the next thing he did was I was praying, and he walked in and he said, "I'm the one that you should be praying to." That was it. We ain't no more conversation to be had. So it's you getting to that point where you begin to recognize yourself and realize that what is happening to you is not building you up, it's tearing you down. You're beginning to become insignificant, unseen. You know, I'm like, no, this is not going to go not another year. I am so grateful now that I did walk out because I have my sanity and I have my peace of mind.
Amen. Sister Siobhan, take a breath, Pauline. Siobhan is coming with a question.
You see what you did? I'm gonna drink me some water.
Okay, good evening again. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think, okay, how do I phrase my question? Okay, so let me just start with, there was a comment that Dr. Napier, you mentioned, you said something along the lines of you found that something that you've just found, like, I guess, like sex nasty and things like that.
Oh, yeah. When I was growing up as a little girl, this
Okay.
a part of it came too from friends at school. Like, when you hear the word sex, it just like it was negative. It was a negative thing because, as I said, I couldn't read any. I couldn't let daddy see me with a book that had a man and a woman on it indicating romance. He would hard to get
Yeah,
rid of it,
yeah, he
right?
would be upset.
And so, right. So it's like I remember going to do common entrance, and that's when you're like 12 years old. And on the paper, they had sex. And I was like, what? I've never had sex. Why are they asking me this question? And I put and I put no on it. It was stupid. But you see where I'm coming from. I was just
Right.
totally ignorant, right? When my sister got pregnant, not this one, the younger one that died at 16, um, I thought that I might be pregnant too because I had no idea that they had had sex. I just didn't know what sex was. So yes, I thought it was nasty because when we were together at school with friends and so on, and we saw a boy and the boy was like somebody liking you or so, and we just say, "Oh, nasty."
There was a question I saw,
Just
but it's
ignorant.
gone.
Just ignorant, Sister Shava.
So
There was
my question then is, and I guess for both of you sisters, you kind of have a similar idea about sex on that line. Is it for you also? For you, sister, is it the same?
Polly,
me. She talking to
he's
you?
asking you, yeah, if that was the same for you, like it was for me. I don't think so.
I don't think I thought of it, but I was a romantic, so I never thought of it as dirty. I just thought that it was that's where love came from.
Okay, fair.
Hmm. That's what I thought it was. It was, and I didn't think of it as dirty. I was quite curious about, what it meant. So I read a lot. I read a lot. And so in reading, you know, that's how I got it. And yes, somebody asked about counseling. Yes, I did. I went to counseling throughout the divorce, after the divorce, I still go to counseling to this day, because there are times when things may trigger me, and I now realize that I'm responsible for my mental well-being. And because I'm responsible for my mental well-being with the love of God right there with me, I do not wait um for anything to impact me negatively anymore. And anything that's negative, I turn it into a positive. And then when I go to my counselor, I say, hey, this is how I think about that. What you think? And I do have a lot of conversation with my sisters. We share, our experiences and different things like that. So I can't let my sister advise me, though. She's my sister. She's a psychiatrist, a psychologist.
Yeah, I can't
But
be a
no,
psychologist.
you can't be my side, right? But we do share a lot of information. We do ask each other a lot of questions. We're not ashamed. Listen, let me just say this. If it's one thing I come to realize, as you get older, you wonder, what in the world was I so ashamed about? Because once you understand the love of God, once you understand, once I came to understand the love of God and how much God loved me, as a matter of fact, God is my biggest counselor, believe it or not, no joke. I go to him and talk to him about whatever it is that I feel before I even get to my counselor outside of that. Yes, I do. And I'm not ashamed to share, because we all have a life path. We all have a story. You don't know what a person has gone through unless you either walk that path with them or you ask them to share it. Don't be ashamed of any mistakes that you make. Go back and look at those mistakes and say, what could I have done differently? Yes, I'm responsible. I am not holding anyone responsible now for anything, because now I know who I am. And if I don't let you in, you can't share that experience with me. But I have to know what I want. You have to give people boundaries, whether it's family, friends, whatever. You give boundaries as to what it is that you will receive inside yourself that's going to make you feel bad. Because one of the things you don't want to do is feel bad about who you are, because we are so uniquely different from each other. But some of us do have that life path. So don't be ashamed and don't be afraid to share. The older you get, you realize that, one day you're gone, don't nobody remember nothing about you anyway. So I'm just kidding.
I will. Sister Opal.
Hi. So I also want to register my sentiment about how transparent Sister Euphema is, and we
Thank you.
appreciate your candidness. My question is, if you were to write a letter to your younger self, considering all the experiences you have had and
Now
the
she gonna make
wisdom
me
you have
cry.
gained, what would you put in that letter?
I would apologize to her.
Good, good. What else would you say?
I would apologize to her and let her know how beautiful she was. That despite all the things that happened during your youth, despite all the lies that was, as a very little girl, let me just tell this quick story. I think I was at my mom's wedding. I was a flower girl at my mom's wedding. And I remember, I think I may have been about 3 or 4 years old. I don't remember, because they got married after I was born. And I sucked two fingers, my two middle fingers. I sucked them. And I remember sitting on the stoop and somebody came and knocked my finger out of my mouth. And I remember saying, rude, rude. But what that did to me was showed me that the person that did it, now I know that there was no love there. And so if I had to go back, but one of the things that I was taught because of that, or growing up, my mom reprimanded me, I was taught to shut up. So if I had to go back and talk to my younger self, I'd first apologize to her. And I would say to her, do not allow anyone to shut you up. You can do things
Mercy.
in love. You can do things in love. Do not tell your child don't answer back. And when I say don't tell them, with all that, thank God, I've never been sexually molested, but I have heard of people who, because the child did not speak because they were told they shouldn't speak. You shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that. And because of that, a lot of children were sexually abused and they shut up because they were taught to shut up. So if I had to go back and talk to my younger self, I'm going to say, be who you saw that you were at that age before anyone stop you from growing into who you should be. Because that was my era. Children were taught to be seen and not be heard. So yes, I would go back to my younger self and I'll say, speak your truth. Do it in love. Find out, make a relationship with God. Ask more questions. I was asked to kiss a family member who not say kiss and embrace a family member who had recently got married to a cousin of ours, and I remember the name Napier. I guess she loved it so much. She said to me, "Oh, now," she said to my mom, "You're not the only Mrs. Napier now." And then my mom tell me to go embrace this person and kiss this person. I did not want to embrace. I did not want, because I just felt like what you just said to my mom don't make sense because it wasn't said in love. And I recognize a very early age that a lot of things that happened was not done in love. That's what made me became so rebellious, because people were spiteful and mean back then. As far as I'm concerned, I was this little black girl who I was told to shut up. I wasn't allowed to speak my truth. So yes, I would go back and tell my younger self, don't you dare shut up.
Okay, thank you. Our time is so far gone. There is one last question that I'm gonna let you. Thank you so much, Opal.
Something about a
I'm
young
gonna
man.
let you. It's Brother Marshall says, what advice would you give to young men who would love to get married? Oh, would love to get married, or just men in general? What
Get
advice?
to know yourself first. Look at yourself, your family, see what they brought to the table. See what your family, what you learned from your mother, your father. If you come from an abusive family, go and get, I think you call it pre-marriage counseling, to make sure that you become whole. You need to become whole. Question yourself. Question yourself before you do that. Ask the questions. Ask the hard questions. Get counseling and know, because you want to know who that woman is that you're going to get married to. You want to know what she's bringing to the table. Make sure, and another thing that people say you shouldn't do, you need to find out what the credit score is, because you don't want to get messed up having to pay a whole lot of bill if something happens.
He's
I'm just
Jamaican. I don't think they have credit scores in Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
We do,
But
we do,
but
we
he
do.
said men in general. Oh, you
Yes, there's
do?
credit score.
Okay,
There's a
okay, all
credit
right.
score.
Okay.
Huh?
They have credit. They say yes, they have credit score. They do
Okay, there you
know.
go. I
Okay.
mean, you just want to make sure that whoever you choose to spend the rest of your life with, you do have things in common. If that person is not willing to go pre-counseling with you before, oh, somebody said, I'm going to answer. Let me answer that one. But if
Okay,
you
no
go to
problem.
pre-counseling before, if you're going to find a woman, go and find out about yourself first. Who are you? What do you love about yourself? What are you bringing to that table? Can you love? Because if you don't love you, you're not going to love that woman the way she's supposed to be loved.
Amen. That's
And
true.
what was that question?
Akisha, you have.
What does forgiving myself
How
look
does
like?
forgiving yourself look like? Yes.
It is one of the most beautiful feeling. I don't know if I can put it into words. I live by myself now. I have my own, I am living, like my sister said, the life. But I look at the fact that because I did not know, I can forgive myself. Because the people can't give you what they don't have. And my parents did not have what I needed to know. They didn't know how to give it to me. Let me put it like that. Okay, so now I look at the fact where now you have the information, pass it on to your daughter, pass it on to your granddaughter, and so on. So forgiving myself, if he's not a Jamaican, me not get married again. Okay. No, yes,
So
I
it's
do
so it's like
absolutely.
forgiving
I do.
yourself is
I'll
giving
answer the
yourself
question. I was answering the
compassion, right?
question. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm in love with myself because everything that happened, I said, you grow through what you go through.
Right.
You grow through what you go through. And so, in falling in love with me, falling in love with God, see how He blesses me, be grateful all day long, live a life of gratitude. It's amazing. He
That's
worked in my life, I would say, they talk about abundance, abundantly, and only because I live in a life of gratefulness. Of course, Jamaican men break arts too. Of course, definitely. Men are men, women are women. But get to know who you are. You will attract to yourself who you are. So if you're
true.
positive, if you're secure, you're owned because men will not. There are men that will listen. A man come to you and you're gonna look at him and say, "What do you want?" First question, and they think maybe you're not being nice. No, I want to know what you want, what you're looking for. Because if you're looking for somebody to take care of you, I'm not the one. Don't ask me about my money because that's not up for debate. You don't know. You don't know if the person that comes to you is going to be, but this is how you know. The pre-counseling will tell you because there are things that, and I think my sister Dr. Napier can explain that better than me. That when it comes to if you're going to get with a woman, that pre-counseling is what's going to bring out a lot of stuff that the woman does not know. Don't give up until you know what you need to know. Ask the hard question. Don't worry about embarrassing anyone because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to feel that pain as well. Ask the hard questions.
Yeah. As usual, the men always come towards the end. Here is
Right.
Brother Vernon's question, and I feel like I cannot deny him.
What's that? What's
He
that?
says, how will you know that the woman you choose will make you happy or bring sexual satisfaction into your marriage?
Well, definitely God will give you discernment. I like that. But that is the thing. You will find out through pre-counseling. I'll repeat that. Hey, listen, I don't believe that I should not be able to walk up to my husband and put my arms around him and give him a hug. When I used to do that with my ex-husband, he would push me away. You understand? So and those were those things that when people build up resentment towards you, it shows in their behavior. But if you're going to vet that woman, just like you when you're doing a job, you need a resume. Find out who that woman is. Find out who her family is. Find out how she feels about herself. Find out how she expresses sex. Ask the hard question. Do you love sex? Do you understand what sex is all about? You understand? Because the last thing you want to do, honestly, is let your husband feel like I used to tell my husband, hurry up. But that's because I didn't know better. You understand? There was no love there. If there's no love, if there's no respect, if there's no understanding, if there's no foreplay, if there's no love of God in all of that, you can tell. Because if you're gonna ask a woman about her sexuality and she's gonna make up her face, and that's a big red flag right there.
May I say something?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
fact, the fact that the man pushed you away some of the times did not mean he didn't respect you. If when he was growing up, he had gone to his mother more than once, and tried to embrace her, and she pushed him. And the last time she pushed him, he felt real bad and vowed that he's not going to be hugging like that. That can affect his behavior
Well,
when
but
he got older.
and I agree that a lot of that has a lot to do with the way some men behave. A lot of that has to do with how their relationship with their mother, because the
Mm.
mother is the first woman in their life, and that if that mother is not, which I did find out later that exactly what he did to me was what she did to him. And I think I
Mm.
shared that with my sisters. It's a whole nother thing to deal with. He
And
experienced
then if
rejection. He experienced rejection. He went in the military. In the Marines, you're taught not to connect. So not only did he suffer rejection from his mom as a young man growing up, but then he went into the Marine that only enhanced that behavior. You
Yeah, and
understand?
then if he
But
was willing to talk, it would have
Exactly.
been good. Then
But now let me say
literally he
this.
would come out of it. Yeah.
But let me say this. Me not knowing myself contribute also to my marriage breakdown, to be honest. Because if I knew who I was, if I understood that I could love myself in that relationship, I'd probably still be married today. But I didn't know how to love myself even within a loveless marriage. So getting to know me and what I was about was a big part of it.
Thank you, sis.
You're welcome, darling.
Thank you, sis. You have
You owe me big
accommodated
time.
us. You did accommodate us. Thank you so
Thank you.
much
Thank you for asking me.
for
I didn't think I didn't think
that.
that it would be like, but I love you dearly. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
love you
And thank you
more.
everyone. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, usually for our guests before they leave, before our guests leave, we always have a prayer for them. Can
Okay.
somebody volunteer to pray for my sister? I pray with her every
Yes,
evening
I
and
want to pray
so.
for her.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. I so appreciate that.
Go
Let
ahead.
us
Go ahead.
pray. Father in heaven, we thank you so much that Princess Euphemia came on the program this evening. We thank you, Lord, that you gave her boldness in answering questions so forthright and that she did it in such a lovely manner, always smiling. Lord, give her reasons to always smile. I thank you for the health she exudes, and I ask you, please, to continue to help her to do those things that will keep her healthy. I pray, O Lord, that her food basket will never run dry. I pray, Lord, that all the goodness that she has and kindness she has shared with others over the years will come back to her when necessary. And Lord, we're old enough to know that it may not come back from the same persons, but your word says, give and it shall be given back
Yes.
to us. Father, I pray that you'll give her good night's sleep. I pray that I know she's going to review all that she had said, Lord, but let her have joy from knowing that she educated. Your love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joy that she educated us all because, Father, we all don't know everything and we can always um, what is it now? Learn something
From
from
others.
someone. Lord, I ask you please to bless her children. May they thrive. May they be examples. And Lord, I pray that you will put your protective hedge around them all. I pray that you will also bless all her family members and all
Yes.
those who are near and dear to her. I pray, Father, that through your Holy Spirit you will continue to draw her close to you. And if it is your desire for her, Lord, I pray that you will find her a very, very good Christian Jamaican man.
Thank
This
you.
I ask
Amen.
in Jesus' precious name.
And
Amen and amen.
Amen.
one quick thing
Amen.
before I
Amen.
go that I'll leave with you all, and my sister will confer to that. My dad always says, live, love, laugh. Learn to laugh at yourself. And in laughing at yourself, you can laugh with others. Live, love, laugh. And I actually have a vase in my house that says, live, love, and laugh. Thank you, and God bless everybody.
God bless you, sis.
All right. Love you, darling.
Enjoy your
Mwah.
good night.
And thank you,
Bye-bye.
Okay.
sis.
Love you more. Bye.
Okay. Let me do the video.
Okay. Sister, ouch.
I can stay on? Or
You can stay on if you want, but you don't have to. I'm gonna take you out of the spotlight.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Hold on. Where did I go wrong?
No, just unpin her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. Okay, it's over to my beautiful sister. Which one? Shaban or Lioness? Which one of you is
Dr.
taking?
Tony,
Yes, Brother Vernon.
I like to come in the midnight hour.
Yes, I realize that.
I just wanted to share to our sister that she was very plain and one of the first persons who would have ever touched. She carefully channeled her presentation in a very balanced and honest and bold way. She is one person I could I could listen to her for the whole night. And because you, as a person who listens carefully, I understand and I hold on to the fact that she was real, and any man or woman here tonight can testify to the fact she was very balanced in her presentation. There were no bashing of men,
No.
no highlighting women as if the women were giants. She presented us all as human beings and advises us in the channel and the way we should go.
Yes.
Sister, thank you very much. Dr. Tony, she's hotter than you. You move from the theological ground.
No.
She functions from the bank of from the University of Experience.
Yes, always. Yes,
And
definitely.
I
Of course it is.
just want to big her up tonight and
Thank
continue
you
to.
so
I
much, Brother Vernon. I
hope you will
endorse
come back
everything.
again to share.
I endorse everything
Thank
you
you.
say, Brother Vernon. I'm very proud of my sister. And it
Thank
is
you.
true. I can tell you point blank period, she loves men. My sister loves men. You would never get her to put down men. She doesn't do that. So yeah, she does have a balanced view. Okay. Thank you so much, Brother Vernon, for your input. Sister Lioness, are we handing over to you? All right. I am
Yes.
going to stop the